It sounds simple, but it's not. You need to love yourself. Know that you are important, you are valuable, you don't deserve to be hit. Nobody deserves to be hit. So believe in yourself, get out of the situation, surround yourself with people who love you, who care about you, be independent, and break that cycle of violence for yourself and for your children.
Do you have that experience watching a family member quarrel? I have that experience. When I was very young, I saw my family member quarrel and I hid at second floor at the corner of the staircase watching them quarrel. And that time I didn't know who to defend. And today we have the author of Little Heroes of Bay Street, Maria Kawa Liang, with us. She is the survivor of domestic violence and she wants to help all children and get the message out there by writing these storybooks based on her very own experience when she was a child. Welcome, Maria.
Thank you, Jamie. Great to be here.
What causes domestic violence in general?
So many factors can cause domestic violence. It could be situational, like one situation causes it. It could be stress, pressure at work. Or it could be mental illness, depression, alcoholism. And lastly, it could be generational. So if you are a child growing up in a domestic violence home, as a girl, you grew up to be abused. If you are a boy, you grew up to be the abuser. So that is why this message is so important to get out there, that we can break the cycle of violence so it doesn't continue.
What do you think is the cause of the violence in your home?
So my personal experience with domestic violence is my family left Hong Kong, moved to the US, San Francisco, and we were immigrants who spoke no English. I was barely 2 years old. My sister was 8, and my brother was 5. So I'm sure it was a very scary experience for my mother and father. They spoke no English, had no friends there. And so I think that, my father ended up being violent towards my mother out of the stress and the uncertainty of life. And, not being able to control what's happening in his life because he didn't speak English. But that doesn't mean that it's okay to hit somebody you love.
Yes.
But that was the initial cause, I believe. Yeah, it's the fear and the frustration. And so I saw him knock out my mother's tooth. I saw my mother's head between the door and the door frame being slammed. It was very, very scary. Very scary.
Yeah. So your mom still stay with him, even though she is being treated badly?
Yes, my mother and father loved each other, and so one, it's a cultural influence because in the Asian culture, at least back then, this is back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, that it's not okay to divorce. You stick together no matter what. So cultural, financial dependence, she needed my father. She felt it's good for the children to have a father, so she's not going to leave her husband. And you just have this helplessness, to stay together with the man who abuses you.
Did she leave the house?
Yes, my mother finally left when I was 13, and I was so proud of her. But then he came back again, and my mother didn't finally leave him for good until I was 19.
So do you actually hate your father to treat your mom that way?
That is such a good question. Nobody's ever asked me. I actually did not hate my father. As a little girl, I thought he was my hero. And I actually blamed my mother when I was little. I thought because she's nagging him, because he doesn't come home to have dinner with us. He never spends weekends with us. So my father was angry with her and would hit her. It wasn't until I became 13 that I realized that my father was wrong. My mother does not deserve to be abused. Nobody deserves to be abused. So, but I never hated my father or my mother.
Okay. Okay, so how did you and your siblings handle this situation at such a young age?
Oh, so I was the youngest in the family. My sister was 6 years older. My brother was 4 years older. They would leave the house and get away from the situation.
Yeah, because they are older, right?
Yes. So my brother would be playing basketball. My sister would be out with her friends. I was kind of like an only child. But my brother did blast the stereo, play the music so loud that it was, disturbing.
Don't your neighbor complain?
Yes, and that is what eventually caused us to move because of all the noise. Yes,
okay.
Get evicted. Yes, but during the violence, so my father would come home very late at night, and then my mother would, say, "Why do you come home so late? You don't care about us. You don't care about the family." Yes, and nag him, and I would hide under the blankets with my stuffed animal, and that would be my safe place, and that is how I coped, is to snuggle with my stuffed animal, happy dog, read books, and draw pictures. So I always spent time alone reading, drawing pictures, playing with my stuffed animals. So like I said, my brother would go out, play basketball, or turn up the stereo, and my sister would go out, and then we just drifted apart somewhat. Not because we don't love each other, but I think it's because it's so painful that we remind each other of the pain at home. So then I think you tend to drift apart, or you get very close. And my sister and I were very close because she was like a second mother to me. And then my sister ended up in a very abusive relationship when I was 15, and she was 21. So, like I said,
repeats the cycle.
Yes, perfect example. And I could see, even though I was only 15, that he was a terrible person. But she loved him, and she literally had to jump out of a moving car to escape the abuse when she saw a police car and saved herself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after that, how did she went to counseling to help herself?
Yes, she went to professional help, which was excellent because then that prompted me to go seek professional help. So this is the crazy thing. I was a university student studying psychology before I went into education. And so I knew about the battered women's syndrome, which is there's tension in a relationship, then there's the abuse, and then the abuser apologizes, says, I'm sorry, I love you, it will never happen again. And then the abuse happens again and again, right? Here I was studying it, objectively knowing the psychology of it, and still it happened to me.
Okay.
It was shocking. And so luckily it didn't last long. I was slapped very hard where my ears were ringing. And another time I got a fat lip, So there I was feeling helpless and like I was nobody, that I deserved this abuse, even though psychologically I knew it was
not correct.
Yeah,
not right.
Intellectually, I should say. I knew it was wrong. And yet there was the cycle.
Okay. Yeah. So when did you finally let go of this experience?
So I graduated from university. I was working full time. So working really helps you because you're getting acknowledged by your employer, by your colleagues, and you feel good about yourself. And I was financially independent. That is so crucial. I had very good friends who gave me emotional support, and I had hobbies. So it's so important. I cannot stress enough how you need to take care of yourself. And so be financially independent, have good friends, have hobbies, have a balanced life.
Yeah, remember, if you have a job that you like, you will have self-worth. And if you have friends and family that supports you, then you will build the network and build your self-esteem as well. And then having a hobby is very important also, because then you have something to do, not eat, sleep, and what?
Work.
Yeah, it's very important to have your own life. Yeah?
Yes.
The very last question I want to ask you is, what would you like to say to the people who are also experiencing domestic violence?
It is very, very important to love yourself. It sounds simple, but it's not. You need to love yourself. Know that you are important, you are valuable, you don't deserve to be hit. Nobody deserves to be hit. So believe in yourself, get out of the situation, surround yourself with people who love you, who care about you, be independent, and break that cycle of violence for yourself and for your children.
Are you experiencing domestic violence? Say no to violence. If you are living in the US, call 1-800-494-8100. If you are living in Malaysia, WhatsApp 018-988-8058. Check out the link below also to look for help for domestic violence. When we are still experiencing fear, we cannot take any action until we are realizing that we deserve better. We do not deserve people to hit us.
And that's where counseling really helped. I highly recommend seeing counselors. Whether you are in a dysfunctional home or not, counselors can help you work out any issue that you have. Because friends are wonderful, but friends are, they look at things from a different perspective.
Yes.
And a counselor is more objective.
Do you think that domestic violence is going to go away?
There will always be domestic violence, just as there will always be human trafficking or drug abuse. But the best we can do is to raise awareness, to help reduce the cycle of violence. And we'll be aware that it's happening all around us.
And that's the reason why Maria wrote Little Heroes of Bay Street, because she wants to get this message out to all the children, to help these children to be aware about domestic violence.
I have a second edition that will be out in Spanish, and I will work on getting it translated into
Bahasa Melayu. If this video resonates with you, share it and help the community. Even if you are not from the family of domestic violence, it could happen to your neighbor, classmates, or co-worker. Everybody should reach out and help these people.
I appreciate this meeting with Jamie to help us raise awareness about domestic violence, that it is not limited to any one culture. It transcends all boundaries, all countries, all people, all races.
Please like and share this video because it will help this community. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Stay tuned for the next episode with Maria. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Jamie.